Hello, boys and girls. Mr. Jimini wanted to give you a little pep talk prior to your 2 day of mathematics testing, and then I know this has been a hectic week this week. You had 2 days off last week, and then to make up for lost time, we had to cram a bunch of assessments all at once. And I know that can be challenging. You're probably feeling a little bit drained today or this morning, whenever you view this video, and that's okay. Use some time today to refresh your batteries, recharge your batteries. I just want to come to you a little couple things. At the top here you see a positive attitude equals increased success. It's very likely that there are kids who come into an assessment of any kind, be it a Latin STEMS test or a math assessment or social studies chapter test or a science quiz, and be like, oh no, another assessment. Well, when you kind of have that mentality or that attitude already preset in your mind, you're setting yourself up for failure. Even if you are a little bit apprehensive about taking the assessment, come into it saying, hey, this is a great opportunity for me to see what I know. And don't look at it as this is an opportunity for me to bomb it. No, go into, hey, this is an opportunity for me to showcase what I know, to allow me to grow both personally and academically. And you see there in the middle, your positive action combined with positive thinking results in success. I know over the years, Mr. Walsh has always talked about that visualization, saying to yourself in your head, I can do this, I will do this. When you kind of have that positive talk within you, it actually increases the likelihood that you will experience success. It doesn't ensure success, it just increases the probability that you will have a joyful or positive experience with whatever you're doing. Interesting fact, and I pulled this from this book down here, A Mind for Numbers, How to Excel at Math and Science, Even If You Flunked Algebra. Oh my goodness. And it's by Dr. Barbara Oakley. Really recommend it if you guys are looking for something to read this summer or over spring break. It's definitely something that you guys would understand. But an interesting fact, it's called pausing and reflecting. And I think we all know what pausing is. We've done it. We've paused the DVD. We've paused the DVR so we can go grab some chips. We've paused maybe a song on our iPod. Reflecting. The thing about reflecting, though, when we reflect on something, we look at something and we look backwards in time and kind of pull information or thoughts that are applicable to what we're looking at right now. And what it says here, it says experts take an average of 45 seconds to figure out how they could categorize a problem. So when we're talking about experts, we're talking about, let's say, professors, people who specialize in a certain field of study. And then undergraduates. Now, undergraduates are, you want to consider people like you and I. We are not experts yet. We are working our way to that expert level. But the interesting thing is, undergraduates, on the other hand, simply push right in, taking only 30 seconds to determine how they should proceed. Interesting. Somebody who has a wealth of knowledge, exponentially greater than us, takes 15 seconds longer to do a problem, or not even do the problem, to look at the problem and reflect on it than the person who's not an expert. Now, I always think about if I want to be successful, sometimes I have to imitate what successful people do. Someone who's an expert in any field, if they're taking 45 seconds to just read the problem, not even put the pencil to the paper yet, just to read the problem and think about what is being asked of me, where have I seen problems like this in the past or a problem like this in the past. Let me pull in my mind some of the different connections I can make with this problem, and let's see what experiences I have in the past, and then now let's proceed. Whereas the undergraduate, we could call them the novice, they just read the problem, boom, let's jump into this. And don't really do that pause and reflect. So as you proceed with these testing and any type of assessment you may take in the future, think about that whole idea of pausing and reflecting. Reading the problem, almost in essence breathing it in, allowing it to kind of filter through your brain, your brain allowing to kind of make connections with that any of those neural connections to connect with that problem and allow you to then have a better understanding of what's being asked of you. Again, if you want to be successful, sometimes one of the great techniques of being successful is to imitate what successful people are doing. Just some different quotes. Again, guys, successful people keep taking action. They make mistakes, but they don't quit. In life, boys and girls, you will make more mistakes, more than likely, than you will have successes. But that is how you become successful, because you learn from mistakes. All year. We've been in school, 6 months now, 7 months? All year, we've all made mistakes. But the hope is that you've learned from those mistakes. And by learning from them, you're actually developing positive connections within your brain that will allow you to, when you do that pause and reflect, as I said earlier, you'll be able to pause, say, oh, wait, I remember this problem. I may have had it wrong, but you know what? In class, we discussed it. We redid the problem. We looked at the algorithm, the process of how we solved the problem, and now I remember that connection. Now I remember that thought in my head. And I may have made a mistake earlier, but now because of that mistake, I am now a more successful person. Again, the whole idea of a positive attitude. I talked about that before. And finally, your mind will answer most questions if you learn to relax and wait for the answer. Now, that doesn't mean you just sit there and stare at a wall and all of a sudden, you get the answer on your paper without doing anything. It means to do that, again, pause and reflect. Think about what's being asked of you. Try to process it in your head. Try to develop an algorithm or a path in which you can use to get to that answer or get to that algorithm, and then begin to follow the steps. What can I do to increase my chances for success? Read the question. Reflect on what is being asked of you. I don't have to go into that too much anymore. I've discussed that. Allow your brain to make connections with the problem before you put your pencil to the paper. Breathe. Read the problem. Think about what's being asked of you before you start doing, 5 plus 7 is 85. 4 times 2 is 19. Allow your brain to kind of work on its own without your hand doing anything. Show your work as you progress through each problem. Here's one of my worries. In class, I'm a stickler about showing work. 75% of you will be in another classroom tomorrow taking the assessment. I have seen in the past a trend that if your teacher of that specific content area is not there, you start to cut corners, you start to do something differently. Do not stray from what we've talked about all year. Showing work allows you to see what you're doing. It allows you to put what's in your brain on paper and see if you can make sense of it and see if it's correct. Making those connections from brain to paper, or brain to hand to paper, allows you to really become more successful and increases your chances of being successful. Realize that you have an opportunity to showcase your abilities to a much larger audience. Throughout the course of the year, your assessments have been seen by me. They've been seen by you. They've been seen by your parents. Maybe if you shared it with a colleague, one of your peers have seen it. Well, now you have a larger audience to showcase your talents to. It's always great. When I played high school sports, practice was fun, but man, was it great to play in front of a packed gym. Well, think about that. Your assessment will be looked at by a packed gym or a packed classroom of people, and it'll really showcase your talents as an individual. Testing in itself is a powerful learning experience. It changes and adds to what you know, also making dramatic improvements in your ability to retain the material. All this year, whether it's been unit tests, whether it's been quick checks, whether it's been midpoint quizzes, whether it's been Socrative, whether it's been Kahoots, whether it's been evening practice, whether it's been Khan, all of those things are like a little test in itself. And you have learned through hopefully every single one of those experiences. So if you think about that, if you take all those things together, you have been tested over 1,000 times this year. And each one of those times have provided a little bit of improvement for you. And that improvement allows you to hopefully increases your ability to retain material. So again, as you read these problems, you have 1,000 different resources to pull from while you're taking it. So you may not have a textbook in front of you or a notebook in front of you, but you have something more powerful. You have the experiences and the connections in your brain that have been hopefully hardwired in there, and it's kind of like almost like a file, and you could just kind of mentally pull through that file cabinet, pull it out. Oh, that's what I need. Boom. And sometimes you may have to pull from multiple files, which is okay because you have so many. The files you have is so vast. You have access to so many different things. Pull from it. And number 6, wow, it looks like number 3. Show your work as you progress through each problem. I cannot emphasize that enough. And there are some of you in all my classes who you should be hearing this loud and clearly. Finally, just some end little quotes. Welcome to perseverance. You need to stay strong. If your goal is to succeed, you have to be willing to sweat it out. Success does not come easily. Maybe you could add easily, great. But as you progress through more difficult and more complex concepts, you will have to be able to persevere. And persevere means staying strong. Looking at in the face of adversity and saying, I am not going to quit. I will continue to proceed in an intelligent and rational way. Finally, perseverance is not a long race. It is many short races, one after another. Any assessment you take, boys and girls, this is a perfect analogy. Every single problem is just a little short race. You focus on that little short race. You work through it. You pause and reflect. You create an action plan in your head. You put it to paper with your pencil. Your brain is transferring that information out onto the paper. You work through it. You show your work. Again, you check your work. But again, every single problem is like that short little race. So you may think of perseverance, oh, this is a long, terrible thing. No, think about it as just many little short challenges, many little short races, short endeavors that you can be successful with. I wish you well. Take care.